Okay. This is our November 13th meeting. Just want to say good morning to everyone. This meeting is being recorded and we will post it to our YouTube channel. And so anybody who couldn't make it, the normal, will be able to watch it. So it's getting a little colder now. We're definitely at Shenandoah checking all our block heaters, making sure the plugs work out in the yard. We're trying to stay right on top of things to alleviate breakdowns and stuff as we get into the colder weather here. Getting our snow plows cleaned up, ready to go, snow scraper. Our last meeting was held on October 16th. Mickey Jones with Capital Region BOCES presented on PESH laws and regulations. And it was pretty informative. It was recorded. If anybody would like to go back and see it, I see quite a few people already have. But she went over types of OSHA inspections. And I'm not going to read through them all because it'll take some time. She went through workplace violence and the different fines that people have to pay for it. Employee rights. She spoke about when you must contact PESH. So any issues, to cover make sure you're doing the right thing. Make sure that you're taking care of things before they get out of hand. She explained the inspection process. So what they're looking for when they come to our facilities. And she went over some record keeping that we all need to do. The PPE assessment. She even gave us a form, and I think I sent it to everyone, so everyone should have that. Electrical safety, overloaded circuits, missing covers. These are all things that you can get fined for. She went over material handling, machine grinders. They've got to have the guards. Grills have to have the guards on them. And she went through the walking and working surfaces, how they've got to be marked, how they got to be kept clean, free of debris. And they'll give you a notice of violation when they're finished, when they have to be fixed. She also left her information. So if anybody needs to contact her or wants to look at your facility, she did offer that. So it was a pretty intense meeting. We had the 12 cameras, 13 at one time. So it was well attended. And then, of course, if anybody has any questions on that, I can definitely put you in touch with her, and she's more than happy to help you guys out. Just a little EV update. So I told everybody that we would be going over our EVs as we move along. We have two now that are out of service. One of them still has the vibration that they're going to fix, and the other one ended up having a check engine light, and it was a insulation light on the dash. So that one is being worked on as we speak, and they're going to replace the harness in it. There must be some impedance in the harness, but that is in progress. Our chargers, which they are from InCharge, they were set to come on at 7 p.m. If you remember that the last meeting I told everybody about this, and they were not turning on at 7 p.m. Sometimes they're turning on at 8, sometimes 8:30, sometimes 9. And it just kind of took a lot of maintenance in the beginning here. We have gotten that worked out. I set it up so that we are getting notifications on our smartphones, computers. It'll come right up as an email from InCharge themselves that it says, your charger is completed charging or your charger has started charging. So as we're moving along and we're getting more involved in it, it's got some nice features. But it just, up until now, they have taken some maintenance, some constant monitoring, which, we're all in this, we're doing it together. So I'm just letting everybody know what we're going into. We had the chargers, they didn't charge a few times. They said that there was a problem with the plug, and InCharge came out and They had to reprogram them. I'm sure, it's stuff in the beginning. He said we've only had them for a few months. And that leads us up to today's presenter, who is Bill Lyons with InCharge Energy. And also presenting with him will be Sean Hinson. He's the Training and Content Development Senior Manager at InCharge, and Van Wilkins, who's EVP Growth and co-founder. So go ahead, Bill.
Sure. Yeah, so can you guys see this? We don't normally use Google. We're a Teams company, but just want to make sure you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay.
I can also see all the links, all your stuff on the side.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of links here, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, so Bill Lyons, account executive with InCharge Energy. Right now I cover the North, East, and kind of the East. I work for our school and truck segment. We've got a few different segments at InCharge. We've got an automotive segment. We've got a strategic account segment. And then we've got myself here. I used to work in the school bus business, so definitely see a lot of familiar faces here. I'll pass it over to Van for an introduction, because right now Sean can't get on this presentation for whatever reason. So Van, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Van Wilkins, one of the co-founders of InCharge Energy. I've been in fleet fueling space since the 80s. I started out doing school bus diesel pump upgrades for the EPA requirements back in the 80s and early 90s for tank monitors and all. So I've spent my entire career working as an electrical contractor in the fleet space. And I've had the privilege of working with all the electric school buses probably over the past 8 or 9 years throughout the US and Canada. So I've made a lot of mistakes, seen a lot of mistakes, and learned a lot. So hopefully we get to share a little bit of that with y'all today. And Sean Hinson's here, one of our training guys who also worked for one of the bus companies. He's on phone only.
Yep. And then we've also got a new guy in here. Brody just came on. He's going to cover the Northeast with myself. So I guess we'll get into it. So I know New York State has been hearing from electrical companies and turnkey companies and school bus distributors for many years. So I'm sure you guys have had a lot of presenters throughout these meetings, a lot of overlap. So we'll try to move through it pretty quickly and just kind of give you a general introduction to InCharge Energy. We're a turnkey company. And when we say that, we mean it in its truest essence. We are vertically integrated. We have our own contract manufacturer of EV charging equipment. And we are the only authorized reseller of that equipment in the United States. So we call that our ICE product line. And that would be kind of like this charger right here in the center. We are co-owned, majority owned by ABB. ABB is a $35 billion company. They are the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world. And we also carry a full complete line of ABB chargers. InCharge really focuses mostly on the fleet segment. We are not a public charging company. You might not have ever heard of us or seen our chargers because, we're not out there behind hotels. We're not out there at supermarkets, but we are present in the fleet space. So we've got our automotive side, so where we're doing GM dealerships, Honda dealerships, BMW dealerships. We've got our fleet side where we deal with companies like PepsiCo and Ryder, and then our OEM side, which you'll see our chargers at school bus distributors, at school fleets, municipalities, any space where you're operating a private fleet. That's where we are. That having our own charger gives us, makes us a vertically integrated company. But we also have our own software too. So we have a complete network operations center, a complete in-house team of programmers. So when you deal with InCharge, you're dealing strictly with an InCharge employee. When you submit service tickets or you have to do scheduling like we did with Dan, again, it all comes back to us. We're not going out to a distributor. We're not going out to another charging manufacturer and saying, hey, we've got this client, they're experiencing this issue. Have you seen this before? It's all done in-house. So just like you have with your school bus dealer, they come pick up your bus, you send it out to them, they take care of it, they deliver it back to you. That's sort of our model. That's what we want to do. And we carry that all the way through to our fleet of service technicians. So we've got technicians all across the country that come on site. So hopefully that you guys don't have to do anything yourself. So a true turnkey company. I kind of outlined some of our partnerships. I think Van knows the history way better than I do, but I think we really got our legs on the ground when we partnered with GM. So kind of like what I do with you guys, where we come out, we present our company. Our executive team goes out and presents to key automotive manufacturers. And with GM during the COVID years, there was a lot of focus on electrification. And basically InCharge went to the GM team. We said, hey, here's what we do. We'd like to be a partner. We'd like to be a preferred partner. And GM listed us as one of the 3 preferred partners. And GM was very specific timelines of when each dealership had a charging equipment in, what type of charging equipment, etc. We did, I think, over 900 GM dealerships. Before GM, we did Nissan. And now, we're working with Honda and BMW and a whole bunch of other, light duty vehicles. Then we've got our medium heavy duty team, which is where I work in. We've presented to International. We've presented to Thomas Bus. We've presented to Bluebird. We are preferred partners of these school bus manufacturers. We have our charging equipment at their sites. They use us for R&D, and they use us to, charge up their EV buses and get them on over to you. So we are heavily integrated. We have weekly meetings or monthly meetings with these OEMs. So when you purchase from us, it's not like we're just living in our own world trying to keep your fleet up and running. We see things from a national perspective, and it definitely helps us, get ahead of things. We're not treading water here and just trying to figure out things on the local level. This is sort of some of our success in the school space. A lot of this slide really is dedicated to EPA round 1. We know most schools are getting EVs with grants, right? There's very few customers out there that are saying, hey, I want to turn my whole fleet over. A lot of the movement in this market has come from EPA Clean School Bus Grant, and now in New York State we've got the NSBIC grant. So we're working with over 225 school districts. These are some of the largest school districts in the country. We've outlined a few. Some of our early success stories are in Moreno Valley. I think they're probably up to 50 EVs or so charging. Same thing with Boston Public Schools, probably 50 or so. We've got some schools in Texas where, they literally have 125,000 kids in their enrollment. That would be Cypress Fairbanks, and they're using our charging product. So if New York's got about 120 EVs on the road right now, we're charging about 10 times that many across the US. So our experience is very deep. And we bring our turnkey approach to everybody, right? So we come to your site, we do a site assessment. We can do fleet studies for you. We have our own project engineering team. So we have our own construction project managers, our own estimators. We have our own electrical engineers. In 5 states right now, we have our own electrical licenses, and that's growing rapidly. We think we're going to be up to probably 15 or 20 here in the coming years. And then the next big step will be increasing our service capacity. I mean, our goal right now is to have somewhere around 500 InCharge EV technicians, and people working for our NOC center, which is our network operations center. So that's part of where Sean works for. That's part of the segment where Sean works in.
And to give you an idea of the DNA of the company, the CEO, we both are licensed electricians and licensed general contractors. So we've run service businesses most of our career. So that's our DNA. We're a service company.
Yeah. I think, in the end, if you really were to boil us down, we are a software and service-based company, right? This is an outline of just some of our products in our portfolio. We have everything from level 2 chargers to DC all-in-one fast chargers to battery electric storage systems to distributive energy charging solutions. So some of our newest product line probably are going to be these V2G chargers right in here. So we've got, a 22 kW V2G all the way up to a 66 kW V2G. In the school bus segment, you're going to see most of our products being used are this ICE 60 unit. That's what Dan at Shenandoah has. This ICE 60 unit, it's modular, I guess you would say. It uses the same chassis, the same frame, and it's available all the way up to 180 kW output. And because we've sort of taken this modular approach, we actually have been able to drive our costs down as we scale up. So that's very important when we start looking at these electric school buses. And then the next product that we probably see most often used is this DC wall box right here. And then some of our level 2 chargers. The distributed systems, these are newer products to the field. These have the ability to charge at high power increments, and they're a little bit more flexible. So in here you can see this 480 system. We also have now a 600 kW system. Where you might see a product like this is, say you have indoor parking or a really tight parking situation. So we can have a distributive system where it has this power cabinet on the right hand side here, and this power cabinet does all of your power conversions, and then it feeds the power out to these dispensers. We've got a slimline dispenser, which is not pictured here, but I would say the slimline dispenser is I don't know, probably 24 or 30 inches across. And that can be hung in something like a gantry system. So if you got indoor parking, nowhere for chargers, but you do have overhead space, you could do one of these 600 power cabinets outside your building, run all your wiring into your building, and then that can feed up to 10 buses at 60 kW increments. So it's a very cost-effective, high-powered system. This is a little bit over of our ICE 30 DC wall box. So this is available in a bunch of different configurations. As far as the charge handles are, or the guns, as you might call them, most things that we're doing here in the school bus space and in the medium and light medium duty segment are CCS1. So we've got that connector. The cord lengths for us are 16 or 24 foot. I would say in school bus, we always want to go with 24 foot. We've seen issues where, engineering companies are not familiar with this space. They've designed parking layouts. So, InCharge didn't, just supplied the equipment, and some other company did the engineering. They do the install and they find out, oh, the cord's not long enough. So we try to avoid those situations. This charger is also available in Build America, Buy America optionality or design. So if you do have restrictions based on like your state grant or your federal grant, we do have a BAA compliant charger available. This charger has one power module in it, right? So right now it's pictured with 2 cords, but it cannot charge both cords at the same time. It is a parallel, or I would say sequential, actually. It's a sequential charger. So charger handle A charges the bus to its desired state of charge, and then it flips over and it charges off cord B to bus B. This is our all-in-one dispenser, so it looks most, kind of like a gas dispenser. Again, it's dual cord. This is a parallel charger, so both cords can be used at the same time. When you talk about, the size of a charger, so if it's a 60 kW, a 120 kW, or a 180 kW, that means, that amount of power can come out of each cord, or if each cord is in use, it's split. So you've had 30 and 30, or 60 and 60, or 90 and 90. I'll kind of pause for a minute. Does anybody have any questions on anything so far?
Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
you spoke about you have a charger that will charge 10 buses at the same time.
I do. Yeah, you're getting ahead of us, but yes.
Oh, I just was going back.
Yeah.
I was actually going to wait till the end to
So
over that.
what you're referring to, those would be our distributive systems, right? So they look like this right here in the bottom right-hand corner. So this is basically a housing for all your power modules, right here. And in this, this particular, what's pictured, this would have enough power modules to put out 480 kW. So we look at these when we're doing like heavy duty trucks, 500, 600 kilowatt battery packs, or if we're looking at, a parking arrangement where there's not a lot of space. So we can put one of these slimline dispensers in, or we can put in a micro dispenser, which looks like a little square box, kind of like a filing cabinet, and mount that overhead. So yeah. This system right here is 4 chargers, or 8 ports, but we have an even larger one now. That's it's a 600 kW power cabinet, and that can feed, like I said, up to 10 buses at 60 kW increments.
Yeah, and really those are about handling 2 different scenarios. One where there's a space issue. So we got one site in the Northeast where we're putting bin blocks, or some people call them the mafia blocks, the big concrete blocks to the back of the space. And so we only have about 12 inches for the charger. So we put one of the distributed ones on the bin block, and then the power cabinet's, 150, 200 foot away. So it's a space issue there, or where I can't put concrete down, so I don't have the space to put an all-in-one charger. The other place where it comes in helpful is where I have vehicles that come in at different times, and sometimes maybe I need to do a faster turnaround. So I can share the power amongst all the dispensers. Maybe one, I've got 6 vehicles in, and one comes in, and the bus can do 80 kW or 120 kW. So that bus can fill up faster while there's not other buses there. So it allows you to kind of take care of some of that different routing or different timing of vehicles off of one power module, instead of kind of being fixed to, I can only do 60 kW at each space. So it gives us some flexibility for routes or for space.
Yeah. And again, that's, really, the sooner you bring InCharge Energy into your conversations as to what you might want, that's where we can sort of recommend these products. We see a lot of schools, who have gone out to their own engineering companies. We get it, or design companies, and they're not always familiar with the distributive energy systems, right? They kind of just recommend the all-in-ones or the wall boxes. But the technology changes very quickly and very rapidly in this industry. So it's kind of best to make sure you engage your charging manufacturer early, because they might have solutions that can save you money or time, or help you in scaling up your charging operations. As you move on.
And if you notice there on that sheet, we've got about 4 different charge manufacturers are used, and so we'll spec out and get built specifically for the fleet space. So where we help if somebody has to do public engineering company to do the construction drawings, we end up acting like the architects. So we'll help them with the design piece and make sure they got the right elements. So they may not know something about particular vehicles, and we'll give them the design specs, say you have to align the charger in this space, offset it this way, so the cables will reach 2 or 3 vehicles, front and rear buses. So we help them with that piece that the architects would normally do, because the engineers are used to have an architect point and shoot them, and that's what we'll help them do as well.
So level 2 charging, and again, I mean, I want to stress that, you know, there are a lot of different solutions in the space, and the technology does change rapidly. You know, we do a lot of DC charging for fleets. I would say probably 5-6 years ago, you know, when I was selling school buses, there was an idea that, you know, pretty much level 2 charging would kind of work for all of us. Obviously, not everybody's familiar with how school bus operations are. They don't know about superintendent days, half days, McKinney-Vento runs. You know, it's not as simple as just, you know, hey, we go out in the morning, we go 20 miles, we come back, we sit for 4 hours, and we go out again, right? You know, there's a lot of different variables. You know, and basically with level 2 charging is it doesn't give you as much flexibility, right? If you encounter emergencies, if you've got route variations throughout the day. You know, the school buses, and honestly, sometimes the engineering companies, now they're getting a little bit better, but in the beginning, they didn't really realize, or the utilities, they didn't really realize that, you know, these school buses had thermal management systems. You know, we know that, you know, the average thermal management system uses about, I would say, 7 to 10 kW. So, you know, if you've got a cold winter day, and, you know, 7 to 10 kW of your 19.2 charge is going to just keeping your thermal management system running, you know, that means, you know, your bus is really only getting about 8 kW of charge. So that really is going to stretch out your charge time.
And if I could here, just
The
a
other thing, go ahead.
cautionary note, is people talk about the chargers as being 19.2 kW. That's if they're on a 240 volt system. Most of the sites you're at are 3-phase, going to be 208, so it's only going to be about 16 kW, and the charging goes up and down with the voltage. So, you know, if your voltage dips down 200, 199, you're only about 15.9 kW, but the load hadn't changed. So that gap of thermal management starts to get even smaller depending on what's happened with the voltage. And the dirty little secret about charging, sometimes the longer you charge a bus, the more energy it takes to charge it. We found every vehicle has a sweet spot for efficiency, to where, like say a Tesla Model Y or Model 3, if you charge it at 36 amps, that's its most efficient spot where it's wasting the least amount of energy. We found with most school buses, about 30 kW is the sweet spot for charging them, to where you're wasting the least amount of energy. We'll say most of your, you know, in a cold winter day, maybe you're burning 120, 150 kilowatt hours in a route. If I charge that overnight and it's a cold night, or it's been wet and I've cold soaked the batteries, now I'm having to heat that battery constantly while I'm slow trickle charging it all through the night. So I've used more energy to fill up that battery than if I just charged it in 4 hours. So after, you know, millions of miles and charging over the past 5, 6, 7 years, we've really found that 30 kW is a sweet spot, even for overnight charging, to hit the highest peak efficiency. So then it's about balancing what's the cheapest time to use the electricity, depending on what your rate is from your utility company. But if you charge it all night, you will use more energy than if you were to just charge it in 4 hours. That's the fact, right? And at like 30 kW, you can charge most all the buses from 0 to 96% at 30 kW without any change in power level. Sometimes if you're at 60 kW, once you get to like 92%, 90%, it'll start to drop down, right? You'll start to slow down at the end of it, but at 30 kW, you can pretty much go from 0 to almost 100% at that rate without any change in charging rate. So there's some things we can analyze that for you depending on which bus you're using. Every bus has a little bit different sweet spot, but that is something to know. If you're looking at your total cost of ownership, the cheap charger, slow charging at night can actually cost you more energy. And some major fleets like Amazon and others have found this out through the years of deploying lots of AC charging, that they even may have to throttle or change what rate they're running their AC charger at, because the AC onboard charger on the vehicle has an optimum efficiency where it likes to work. So knowing that spot can help us make sure you get the best total cost of operation of your bus.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like Van said too, I mean, a lot of these AC chargers, you know, they're built for the public charging market. They're cheap. There's not really much maintenance or replacement, you know, parts and pieces in there. So if you've got some internal components that go bad, it's pretty much rip and replace. So, with the DC chargers, there's definitely more flexibility on the service and maintenance side of things. The AC chargers, like I said, their technology is changing. We do have a fleet focus. It's a dual port AC charger that allows you to get the smart charging features that a lot of the utilities, a lot of the consultants, a lot of the school bus distributors talk about. But that charger is definitely more of a premium. It's probably going to be priced, if you're dealing with a charging company, it should probably be in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. And that has a PLC connector, which is a type of connector that we see in DC. So that lets you see the state of charge of the vehicle while it's charging. It allows you to do some throttling, it allows you to do some scheduling. But again, it's definitely going to be a more expensive AC charger. Sean, you want to kind of kick it over here and go a little bit over some of the charger maintenance and service and information for these guys?
Yeah, appreciate it. My apologies for joining late. Apparently Google did not like me this morning. So, but yeah, thank you. So we're talking a little bit about maintenance on our chargers. So as a company, as a service company, we definitely can help handle maintenance events for you. So these are some of the things or some of the areas that we kind of focus on. We always do required photos. So we do photos when we arrive, all the way around the unit. So we make sure that the charger, is not, someone didn't run into it last night. We do inspections. A big portion of maintenance is about the inspection, right? We want to make sure the cables, the connectors, internally, all the connections are tight. So that's a big portion of our maintenance. Charger handle and cable inspection. It's probably one of the main items that gets abused in most cases. So we want to make sure cables are solid, handles are solid, and obviously pins are in good working order as well. We also do cleaning tasks, so internally and externally, pedestals. Then we start to look at all the components internal to the charger. We're talking about circuit breakers, power modules, contactors, looking through those and make sure those are in good working order and tight as well. And then at the end, generally we'll do, besides the cleaning of the units, we'll also start to look into the, the filters on the unit if it does have any filters. In this example picture that I put in, that happens to be, like Bill mentioned, a nice 60, 180 type of charger all in one. So we have 6 filters in there. Those can be vacuumed out if they're not if they're in a good working order. But they are, if they're damaged or clogged in any way, we simply replace them for you. And then the image at the bottom right is where we're doing our inspections on our handles, identifying things that are, that need to be repaired. And then after, when the whole service event is done, Bill, if you don't mind going to the next slide. So our technicians will go in and they're obviously, as they're going through the events, they'll do the checklist. And then this documentation is stored and can be presented to you for records as well. But we go through all the different areas of the inspection process, and also note, obviously, if there's anything that needs to be repaired for you. So we do handle quite a few maintenance events for, our chargers and others. And the documentation, again, is, stored for you and kept for records. Any questions just on maintenance events in general? Anything I can add?
So this maintenance, does this have to be provided by your company, or is it something that we can do?
Yeah, I think, and just from my perspective, so we do teach, we teach our technicians, obviously, how to be safe. And that's one of the bigger pieces of this, is that ensuring that whoever is going in and performing maintenance has the correct training and also the correct PPE, because we want to make sure the units are powered down properly. They know how to do a lockout, tag out, and test for voltage. So yes, we can teach that. And generally those are the main pieces that we got to make sure on whoever's, servicing your unit. Van, if you want to add anything to that as well.
Yeah, we've trained some of the other bus dealers to do this because it's 480 volt AC. The safety requirements, some of the same things that the bus techs are working on the bus from a PPE standpoint are similar, but there are higher arc flash values. So sometimes it gets a little bit tricky with the bus companies' workers' comp insurance when they find out they're working at 483 phase. So that's something that, it has to be done on a case by case basis with either the facilities person that's operating there or with the bus maintenance company. But these are all tasks that we can train somebody for. It's like working on a variable frequency drive or on a UPS. So somebody that would do those same tasks, or a lot of times same person from a facilities person that might be able to do this, and we can train them on it. We do training classes on it down in Richmond for them as well.
Yeah, and that's the key, is just making sure that the person's safe and has the proper equipment. So, yep.
About how much do you guys charge to come out and service, say, just to inspect it? Say we wanted to set up I don't know, what's the interval of when an inspection should be done? Should it be once a year, twice a year, once a month?
If you're in the Northeast where you have, we'll say, a lot more environmental concerns, depending on how people are plowing and putting snow around them, we usually like to look at it at the beginning of the school year. And so say October, we'll say August, September, we usually like to do a visit when they first started using, and then in the spring. And then typically, if you're touching them at least twice a year, that's a good interval. And then sometimes you have to look at a little bit more than that. And
yeah,
it's a typical inspection. It's not, it's basically what an electrician would come out, right? It's 4 hours to 8 hours, so $500 to $1,000 for a half day or a day, depending on how many charges you got on site. That's about the average.
Okay. So the way to do that then is have you guys come out, and like we now have 2 chargers, and we have 4. We've got the 2 portable ones, but as we grow, and if we get more, we just set up a day where all of them get checked out by you guys at the same time.
Yeah. And usually we like to have the lot manager along with us, because it's that interaction of knowing how people are using it. And if we see something, giving them tips for, hey, make sure they clear the brush out from behind this, or don't set stuff against that charger, right? It's that interactive piece, because sometimes they'll tell us things when we're there a day of inspection that we can give them tips for the drivers, or find, catch things before it becomes a big problem. That's really part of that, inspection and service day.
Okay.
Yep. All right, great. So Bill, you want me to go ahead and go into the in-control pieces?
Yeah. You want to use a slide, or you just want to pop online and?
Oh no, I can. Yep, I can pop on and share my screen if that helps.
Okay.
We can. So give me 1 sec. Let me
see. Do I have to stop sharing? So the next piece, I think Sean's going to try to pull up our in-control, so we can see all of our chargers that are out there. We try to organize them as best as possible. And he's going to go over just some of the information. I don't think many people have actually seen a live demo of what a charge management software platform looks like. So we'll pull one up and we'll go over some of the key features and what things look like.
Yeah, and please ask questions as we're going along. I have a couple demo sites that I like to use, because it puts the chargers in different kind of conditions for us, so we can demo it. But what I'm showing here is our demo site, kind of related to a middle school or a high school type. So the dashboard will show you all your chargers. So right now, under the assets is where your chargers are listed. So as you can see in this site, we have a total of 4 chargers. And those chargers can be in various states throughout the day, right? They can be available. They can be in use. So basically, they're plugged in charging. Red is bad. So we never want to see a charger in unavailable unless we know it's turned off. But this is where we can help you as well. So if a charger does end up unavailable, I can show you how to put a ticket in using the system, and then we can obviously reach out and give you a hand with it. And then we also have out of network. So our chargers do mainly communicate through the cellular network. So they have a modem and a SIM card inside of them. And if a charger happens to be showing out of network, that means that that data is being stored on the charger, and then next time it makes a good connection, it will upload it. Sometimes chargers do stay out of network for a longer period of time, and that could be because of an outage or maybe a SIM card or a modem issue. But generally, these things, the charger can still work in this condition. It's just holding on to the data inside the charger. Up here in the top, this is one area where if you happen to be that person that has to give monthly reports or quarterly reports, the account statistics area is a quick way to get some of that data that you need. And typically what we get asked by customers is, hey, Sean, can you tell me, how many kilowatts of energy we dispensed for the month of October? Sure. You can use this filter at the top. Click on your month. We have many different options. And then if I wanted to go here, I can choose my month of October. And then this little area here will now start to go and redraw and calculate that information. So if you are that person that needs to do the reports, it's very handy to kind of get those quick numbers. I can show you some other ways to do it. The key pieces of information is, again, how much energy was dispensed for that time period, how many sessions occurred during that time period. We get into charger uptime. We get into fuel displacement. So again, that's one of the key fields that usually we get asked is, hey, how much fuel did we save during this time period? And then we also get into greenhouse gas numbers or GHG information here as well. So these are some of the key information that we get asked, and a way you can get it really quickly on the dashboard. If we scroll down, getting into what we call recent sessions here. So this is basically telling me what occurred on what charger. And I can hover over the bar and get some really good information here. Basically, what was the battery starting level, stopping level, how long it was, how much energy was dispensed, and then obviously the start time and end time. And then over here to the right, these chargers are actually the DC fast chargers and our ICE 80 amp dual cable, the level 2 charger. It does have the capability to read what we call the EVCCID or the MAC address from the vehicle. So whenever someone plugs into the vehicle, we get that ID, and then the system will go out and see if it can find a match. If it finds a match, it'll show what vehicle it is here. In this particular example, in our demo account, we just put in the VIN number that was tied to that vehicle. But you can put in just about anything that you want, your bus number, your vehicle number. So as an example, I have a customer that I work with quite a bit, and their screen here is what they've done. So they've gone in and they actually added, their vehicles are EV, 10, EV 11. So they've named them the way they, it suits them. So that's kind of what you would see if you named your vehicles differently. And then as we scroll down some other areas that are very handy, I can see always my chargers down here in my chargers view. What is nice from here as well, if I see something that's maybe not working, or maybe a charger's having an issue, if I click the little triangle, I can always request service right from here. So there's about 3 different ways you can request service, and they're always very intuitive. So I can do that from here as well. But I can also see what's happening on each of the handles as well. If the vehicle and the charger have the ability to start a remote session, you can do that right from here as well. So let's say your vehicle's plugged in, but it's not charging. You can always come in here and the start button would be active as long as the vehicle is willing to accept the charge at that point as well. So good information here that you can see. And then down here towards the bottom is my vehicles. So this is where, again, if you want to set up vehicles in the system, and then every time that vehicle charges, you can now track the data based on the vehicle and not have to do it by the charger. You can add images, and then you can, see some good information here for that. Also on the dashboard, so we talked again, if there is any issues on a charger, we have this tab called Active Issues. So here, our chargers can basically tattle on themselves. They're sending us either warnings, fault information, fault codes. So we can see this information over here. I can also click on the little triangle, see what the message is. This one happens to be, your charger is disconnected from the network. And then I could also request service right from here as well. Now, once you do a request service, that is a ticket in our system. It goes through the process and creates a case. And then those cases could show up here as well. So you can actually see what's happening with your cases right from the desktop view. So a lot of good information on the dashboard. If you ever need to, you can move these widgets around, kind of make the dashboard the way you like it.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
John Hazelton has a question.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, Sean. I have a couple of quick questions here on the dashboard with the vehicles where you had them on the bottom there. Does that follow the vehicle or follow the charger? Like, let's say you put a vehicle on a different charger. Is it going to follow the vehicle or the charger information?
So once the charger captures the ID, if the vehicle is created, it would also show up on your other chargers on your site as well. So if you go from, let's say, charger 1 to charger 2, when it plugs in, it still recognizes the vehicle, and it still will search and find that vehicle in the list for you.
Okay.
Yep.
My other question is, I had to step out for a minute. I wasn't sure if you addressed this when you first started your dashboard. Who's watching this? Do I have to hire a telematics specialist to watch this and gather all this data, or who's watching?
So great question. So it depends on what you want to do with the system. And what I mean by that is we have a couple other features that I'll show you as well real quick, just to give you an idea of maybe the type of person that would want to see this data. We have what's called a depot view as well. So a depot view, let's see if it'll refresh. I think I have a better example. Let's see.
Yeah, and this is kind of built for a couple different views. The depot view is built for like the dispatcher. Hey, which bus can take can do this route? And then there's the, we'll say, facilities person view of that they get alerts and notice, hey, there's a charger not working. Either way, our network operations center is monitoring it, and there are actually some automated features we'll put in to restart a charger if it doesn't, if the bus didn't reach 100% and it faults out overnight. So some of this is we're watching it and monitoring for points of failure, and some of it's automated where it'll restart. It also is a dashboard view for your facilities people if they want to troubleshoot something, or if they want to get the alert when a charger, goes offline. And then there's the depot view, which is really like for dispatchers. And then if you've got somebody that's into the energy policy on your side that needs information back, they make it very easy. They can just download a report once a month or have it emailed to them once a month, or they can look at it.
Yeah, so here, and that's great. Thank you, Van. And then here's a depot view. So like Van mentioned, if you have a single person that would be just, that just needs to kind of keep an eye on everything, the depot view is a great way to do it. So if you have multiple chargers, this one right now, the school district probably is out doing routes maybe, but we're showing 2 vehicles right now based on the charger, and I can click on them to see what's happening. This one happens just showing a unavailable, so the charger could be offline, could be powered down, whatever the case is. But here you can see all the chargers that are lined up for this customer, and as the vehicles are plugged in, they'll give you a status, and then obviously if you click on them or hover, you'll get taken to that charger. So this area is like that cohesive one view into all your chargers and kind of what's happening. And we can set up a user to have this particular view as soon as they log in. So when they log in, this is the depot view, or a view that they could have all the time. And I do have some customers that kind of create we call it a dummy account, and they paste this up on their screen in their, their area, their office, where it's always just kind of front and center for them. So depending on, again, hopefully that helps what Van added as well. If you need a person that always monitors it and helps drivers with, charging events, or needs to keep an eye on it, or could it be one person that periodically looks at it and logs in and has the screen up? So we do have multiple, multiple people, I think, out there that do different things. But the depot view, very handy. Hopefully that helped answer a little bit of that question for you.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And then, let's see, I'll go back to kind of the dashboard here. A couple of things that were mentioned earlier that I want to make sure I hit on. The dashboard, again, shows shows all your chargers. If you ever need to do other things with our system, so, setting up those vehicles, adding utility rates. So when we add utility rates into the system, that's when we can start to track costs. So we have the capability to add in utility rates based on your different sites. And then also we have, the ability to add more users as needed. And I think Van touched on it as well, is we have the ability to add in what we call notifications for customers. So this one happens to be just an example. This happens to go to the fleet manager. And basically what this is whenever that charger goes out of network, an email message goes to that person, and then they get notified. So right now we have the capabilities of sending an email. In the future, we're also looking at SMS messaging or text messages, so a person can get a text message. One of the other types of notifications we can do is called charger connector status. So every time, a connector handle is used on a charger, there's a set of states or statuses that the charging session goes through. So what we can do is we can trigger a notification based on any of these statuses on that charger handle. So the common ones are faulted. So if a charger handle, like you saw earlier, where the charger was showing red for both handles, if that charger goes into a faulted status, then we can send a notification to someone. And that would be, over here, we can add multiple recipients of the notification, or it could be, a pull inbox. So whatever you would need, we can send that notification to that person or group. And then all these other ones are also notifications that we can send out. So I have multiple customers. Some customers like to trigger off of finishing. So they'll say, hey, I'd love to get a notification every time my chargers go into finishing. So customers can actually go out, swap the vehicle if they need to, and maybe start another vehicle charging. But I also have customers that like to know whenever that charger is going into preparing, meaning someone has plugged in and they're getting that notification stating, hey, someone's using my charger, right? So great way we can kind of send you out notifications, and we're continuing to add functionality to this notification process as well. And then also just something that was discussed that I think Bill mentioned earlier is if you ever need chargers we have the functionality called smart charging. So if you ever need your vehicles to either charge later at night, as a good example, I'll kind of show you here with Western Boone, who's a customer I deal with. I'm going to go into one of their chargers. I'm just going to click on this one here. And I can go in and kind of see all the sessions. So as you can see down here, all the start times on all their sessions are starting at 10 o'clock at night. So we set up smart charging rules, and Van mentioned this earlier as well, is we can start those sessions, later at night. And then you get the benefit of, charging and finishing closer to when that vehicle needs to leave. So again, we're conditioning the batteries. The batteries are nice and warm when they need to be, and that vehicle will get the most mileage of that out of that condition. So we can do a lot with smart charging rules. And then this tab here called energy management logs. So this is where we track all those start events. So this is just a running log of every time that charger has been activated through a rule. So we can do delayed charging. We can do trickle charging. There's many things that we're kind of working on. Obviously, it does depend a little bit on the OEM, so what the vehicle is able to do. But generally, we can find a rule that would work just in about every situation for you. And then also, if a charging session, and Van mentions as well, if there is a session that happens to stop during the middle of the night for whatever reason, we do have the functionality to do auto restarts. So that's where it'll note that, hey, we have a stop session, but our vehicle is not at 100% yet. And then the system will automatically try and restart. So a nice little functionality that is part of that smart charging process there.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize, this is where we've been able to do so well with fleets, is that obviously you're finding out that there's a lot of interaction, a lot of customization that you can do with your EV charging site. And when you're dealing with us, you're working directly with us, right? We're not acting as a telephone or an intermediary to another software provider, to another charger manufacturer. So it's coming direct to us. When we do large EV deployments, we try to get your site set up in advance with the school bus dealer. We have online resources and links to go over training, on InControl. Sean is also available. And this is it's a living, breathing software tech platform. I've been here for about 16 months or so, and I've probably seen 4 different iterations of InControl. And we send out monthly emails of new features that are available. We have a feedback button on InControl where you can click feedback and you can say, hey, I'm seeing a bug. You can request a new feature, be like, hey, it would be really nice to see this. Mm-hmm. Anybody who jumped on here in this meeting early, I was talking to Dan about how we have our integration with GeoTab. So as time goes on, we start to integrate with more software platform providers out there. We use API protocol, and we say, hey, we really like the data you're capturing. So maybe as time goes on with the school bus manufacturers, if they give us API access to like error codes, we can feed all of that information through InControl, through this software platform. And you can start to really consolidate a lot of the information you get into one online piece of software. So it's very customizable. And again, that's, you're dealing with our network operations center, our tech guys. So you hit us up. We're East Coast to West Coast. We've got European teams, weekend teams. So we're available, and it's not like you just got to call Bill and say, hey, what's going on here? And if I'm on vacation somewhere, I can't help you out. We got a lot of support. You want to open up to general questions, Dan? I know we're coming up on an hour here.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Bill? Or Sean or Van? No questions as of now.
All right.
But yeah, we have our setup, like I said, to come on at 7 o'clock at night, because then we're off peak hours. So we actually pay less for electricity then.
Yeah. Yep. And I've had customers call me with small cooperative utilities. I had one customer in rural North Carolina. And every time, and again, we didn't, they didn't ask for us to do a fleet study. They didn't ask for us to engage with their utility. but they found out that they had an ICE 60 machine. And every time that 60 turned on and started charging the bus, they got a demand charge from their small local utility. It turns out anytime their service draws over 50 kW, they're going to get a demand charge. So what we did is we went online to the software platform and we derated, we throttled their charger down to 48 kW. So, these are the little nuances that we try to catch in advance, when we deal with a customer from the very beginning.
All right, that's definitely good to know. Does anybody have any other questions for these guys? As we move forward, if you do, and I'm sure everybody's going to have questions, just please let us all know. I'm trying to share the information that we are learning as we're going along with everyone. And if everybody can do the same as we have these meetings, like I said, during the part of each one of these meetings, we're just going to go over, I'm going to at least explain what we're going through and we're experiencing. And, if you guys can, as you get EV buses, we'll all keep each other informed. So, I want to thank you, Bill, Sean, and Van, for the presentation, and those added support that you've been giving us to try to keep us charging our buses. Our next meeting will be held on December 18th. Roger Harrod with Matthews Bus Sales will be presenting on brakes. So we're going to do some brake, just a different training. I know there's some online stuff. It's going to go over disc and drum maintenance. So that'll be a refresher for a bunch of us. A lot of these EV buses are all coming through with the disc brakes. So that's something a little different for some of us that don't normally deal with them. And does anybody have anything to add to today's meeting? Not seeing any. I'm going to go ahead and close today's meeting. And like I said, it's being recorded and it'll be posted to our YouTube channel. So
yeah, and also I will say too, you guys check us out on LinkedIn. I'm not sure how many people here use LinkedIn, but our company is very active. Van is, he's like Roy Kent, and Ted Lasso. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. So Van posts a lot of the sites we have out in the country. Whether it's school bus application, whether it's, PepsiCo or QCD trucking, you get to see a lot of the stuff that we're doing out there, a lot of our updates. So really recommend checking us out and following us on LinkedIn.
Yeah, the other thing I see is that you guys have quite a few YouTube videos yourselves out there on how to work around your software.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on. So sometimes that YouTube channel is always a work in progress, I think. But we have that private link that I shared with you on a lot of our internal resources. But yeah, I think you'll see more from YouTube as time goes on.
All right. Does anybody have anything else to add? Not seeing any. I will see everyone December 18th. We're going to go over brakes and disc and drum brakes.
Take care.
All right.
Thank you so much.
See you guys later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.